guys, we're back with another episode of Tacoimposters. Let me just change some of the settings here, just to see. Can I change settings to get it to look better? Am I kind of screwed? Let me just check. I didn't change anything here. 30 seconds? Or how do I look? I don't know. It was looking fine before. Just before. Let's check this light. Whatever. It's fine enough, I guess. But, yeah, so, okay, so this camera, okay, I told you about the crack last week, right, or last podcast episode, right, so I got a case for it. Now, there's a part of it I don't really see the point of. There's this one here that goes on the body of it. We're okay, don't scratch the body, whatever, but this part's the part that's really important. It's this, like, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's like a black cover that goes, like, over each thing. Right, so yeah, I put like a little eyeball on it because I taped like a little eyeball to it, so it looks like there's an eye when I put it on. But it goes over both lenses, right? So if you can see right here, right, both lenses, right? And I mean, why did I not get this originally? Because didn't know that there was things you could buy. It's a third-party thing. Samsung did nothing to actually keep up with this camera. They kind of just made it and was like, "Oh, we're done." That's it. That's all. I asked Samsung if I could get a 2016 tripod. Now this is not a 2016 one, but I was just hoping maybe they could do something for me. Anyway, right? Do something for me. They couldn't. They couldn't. But they referred me to like a seller or like one of their third-party vendors, like Walmart or Best Buy, and Best Buy's I wanted to go into what's it called, chats? What do you call them? Oh my gosh, live chats, and Best Buy is not open, not operative, and Walmart was just like, well, we don't know. Just check if they have it. I'm sorry. I'm like, what? I was like, that's a bunch of baloney. No, not that it was garbage, but come on, you couldn't have told me, like. Let's see if it's better. A bit better. I don't know. Let me just see. I'm trying to see if it would look better. No, without that. Let's plug that. I'm gonna give some light. No, I see no difference. Oh, I just see a little different. Anyway, let's just do this to see if that's good. But anyway, or this way actually. So yeah, so I found I should have got this before. I should have looked into something like this before. Like, I'm the kind of anal person who needs a case on their phone. Like, oh, you cannot have like a phone without a case. That was my whole big thing. And I was surprised where I didn't even look into it. Because I think I looked into certain things and it was just like, there's nothing for this thing. They don't care. Now, I was asking people around, different kind of people, what's a good camera to start with? And people don't recommend this camera. They don't. I only recommend it. Okay, I only recommend it because it's really cheap now. Like, now you can get it for $50 or less. I paid $77 last year. Or $78, whatever, last February. So I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, that's good enough. But now I realize you can even get it for even cheaper than that. And if you want the 2016 one, even you can get it for even cheaper. Like if you go on eBay or something, just flaked all the way off. Dang it, the eyeball that I had on here. Oh well, I'll put it back on later. Oh, so that's not gonna work. I thought maybe I could reglue it. No, it's not gonna work. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not saying it's a great camera. It's not. It's really not. It's really, really not. Because it lacks everything, and the quality is really lacks lots of features. The quality is not very great, and the support is now apparently officially gone for this camera. They're like, nope, we're done. We're done supporting it. We're out. Now. Places like, what was it, Videotron that was doing it, or some? Yeah, I think so. They were having a special if you bought a, I think it was a Samsung S20? Maybe. Anyway, or Note 20? No, S20. I think it was S20. You could get one of these free. free. You're not. I hate when people say that. Like, no, you gotta buy this to get it free anyway. But yeah, so probably because they have like back stock of this. They have back stock of this, and nobody wants to buy them. So they're like, hey, you can get a free camera if you buy the new, like, because they know someone's gonna buy a new phone. So they're just like, oh well, let's then sell a camera that we can't get rid of. Also, it's a really niche thing, the camera as a whole. Like, the camera, this just that industry of just, like, 360 cameras is a niche thing to begin with. So it's like, Or Samsung has a bunch of these back orders, and they're just like, and they're giving them to these, like, companies. You know, these, like, Beatrons and Bells and, like, whatever, these AT&T kind of places. It's like, oh, you sell a phone, we'll get you a camera, because they have backlog of these and nobody wants them. So, which I doubt, because they've really, like, canned the dang thing. But, yeah. So, I don't think it's horrible. It's just the fact that this has a crack in it, and you can see it in some of the, like, footage that I do, in the footage, in the video, in the photos. At least in the photos, I can get rid of it. I can, like, with a healing tool, which basically takes one. It's supposed to take like pixels from one section and put it into a different section to, like, heal, like a band-aid, like, I'm putting it over it and it's good. But the way this one works is very strange in the app, Snapseed. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not great. Anyway, to me, it's just very. I don't like it, but anyway, maybe I don't know how to use it. I gotta look up, like, one of those tutorials on, like, YouTube or something, or Google, or, like, look it up on the internet for one, because probably somebody's like, no, you gotta do this. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm missing. It's one of those things where, like, oh, that's what I'm missing. Like, I freaking learned how to use the extraction. It's like an extraction tool, and to add transparencies to make zero background, so I can add things into pictures in GIMP just by looking up on YouTube 2 tutorials. I was like, wow, jeez, the internet's just crazy. That's just crazy for me. Anyway, it shows how much you really don't need, like, to go to get a, like, degree in these things anymore. Like, if you're going to, like, a photo class, Photoshop would have been probably something that they taught you in, like, a photography class. Even maybe multiple sessions. Like, multiple classes of, like, oh yeah, here we're gonna learn everything there is to know about. Now, of course, I can learn way more, and it probably would be Photoshop, yes, that they would use. But there's probably more I can learn. I could probably take, like, hundreds of classes, master classes, stuff, like hundreds of hours of learning stuff. But it just shows how, if I need a specific thing, I can just go, okay, this specific thing, how do I do this? And then it'll just give me a snippet of it. That's great. And I like how I'm using GIMP and how it's free. It's crazy. And it basically does the same thing as Photoshop. Not really. But it's so close that it's like, well, hey, it's good enough for me. Like, it's good for me. I'm making an animation with it. And so I'm moving, like, I'm not doing this properly. The whole animation is not done the way I wanted to do it. But this is, like, a half-ass, like, easy way of doing it that I'm trying to figure out. Which I don't know. Anyway, you'll see it when it comes out. Hope it turns out, like, half decent in any way. But anyway. Yeah, so like, it just shows how. But yeah, they gotta get rid of the healing things. It's not the worst either. Like, it could just look like a piece of fluff in the background if you, like, don't think about it too hard. Like, and if you show it to the right people, they'll be like, oh, that's amazing. They'll still say that's amazing. Anyway. Like, I don't think it's the worst. I dropped it. That's what happened. It didn't even crack. It just scratched. I don't know. But a lot of people say that, though, that happens a lot. And that somehow, 360 cameras are not ever in... Except for the first guy I talked to, a lot of people say that they're never easily... what's the word? Like, you can't change the lenses easily, and they don't have very good warranties and, like, protection services. But the first guy I talked to, he said he bought, I think it was like a $200 he paid like $600 for. This is American, not Canadian, so it's more Canadian. But he paid like $600 or something for a I talked about this before. What's it called? GoPro Max, right? And he paid another like $300 for like a protection plan or like a warranty thing, whatever. I don't remember which one, but could be both. But and basically he said I can like pulverize this to dust, and it can like cease to exist, and they just replace it for me. They don't. There's no questions asked. They just replace it for me. I'm like, they just give you a new one. Like that's just it. And he's like, yeah. So, because I was asking, what do you recommend to use for like getting? Because it's more of a like middle. It's not super super high where it's like, oh, this is like really good quality. Because those are like hundreds of dollars, if not 1,000 for like the really high end stuff. And then it's not like the low end stuff, which is like crap things you plug into your, iPhone or plug into your, like your headphone jack or something. Those like, or like your USB port on your phone, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Those are like, and those aren't even worth it because like you could spend like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 more dollars and get actually usable stuff. Like this is usable. It's just I don't know if it's like it's not professional grade stuff. Like you couldn't start now, especially now that it's cracked or that it's scratched. You couldn't make like virtual tours with it. But anyway, yeah. So that's that. I'm kind of peeved. Now I'm looking to see if I can get a 16 one, just to see the. Also, I want to see the difference too. I want to see the difference in like stuff. Like what's the difference in the quality? Because apparently it sounds better on the 16, and it's got a removable battery, so I can buy a brand new like a less used battery. Put it in. It comes with a tripod, like little stand thing. So I want to see if it's better. So I'm looking to see if there's like cheap ones. Because probably if I look on eBay, I can find somebody selling them for like less than $50. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So what else? Oh yeah, they it's like this month, sometime this month, from the end of this month, I think they're officially discontinuing the 3DS. Officially discontinuing the 3DS, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad. But I'm like, yeah, but Nintendo, unlike Sony, where everybody was like, or sorry, where Sony was like, the PS Vita is dead, and it's like, it was dead for like 3 years before like people actually accepted that it was dead. Because there were people like limited run games that were like, no, but we can pull out like random JRPGs and stuff. And I'm like, no, stop, this is dumb, please, it's dead. And like Sony's like, no, it's dead. It's done. We're done. Like it's out. And well, I was listening to the CU podcast and completely necessary podcast, and Pat and Ian, they were talking about it, and to them, officially dead is they stop making the console. Like they stop producing new versions of that console, which is fine. Like that makes sense. That's what I'd probably say. That's when it officially dies. The system officially dies because a lot of systems have like games after it, right? So you could also argue though, like, yeah, but it's officially dead when first party games aren't being made for it. But that could happen like years before they stop making that system. So anyway, but like I liked the 3DS. I liked the 3DS. Now I was like 99.9999% of people who never used a 3D or used it for like 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes, and we're just like, okay, whatever. And then right, I never used it again, except for like random times when you'd be like, oh, I wonder if this is good 3D. And then you turn it on and you'd be like, okay, and then you turn it immediately off because you're like, it either didn't work very well or it worked, but you're like, I don't care, right? Or you use it to show someone, and then they were like, oh, what? Whoa. Because it was never utilized well. Never utilized well. Not that it was like awful, but it was never utilized well. And most people got headaches from it, right? Or eye strain from it. So it was really bad, but they didn't do a very good job of utilizing the 3D. Now, not like it was never used, but it was really not good. Like the only thing I can remember being actually kind of impressed with was in Ocarina of Time 3D. The part where they're explaining the origin of like the not the Triforce. Was it the Triforce? No, the three not sages. Well, the things at the beginning of the game. It's a favorite game, and I don't know what this is. The things at the beginning of the game, when you beat the Deku Tree, or is it before you go into the Deku Tree? Might be before you go into the Deku Tree, and they're explaining the like 3 pendant things that you have to get for the first 3 like kid dungeons, and like the things are like they're like shooting stars coming down to like Earth or whatever, or Hyrule or whatever. And those things are coming down like that with like the tails, and that's actually really cool. Like it's like decent actually, you know. So because even their tech demo software that came with it, like I think it's just tech demos. The stuff that came with the system, like those like Face Raider and like Mii Maker and like that kind of stuff, and like the camera and whatever. Those are just like good tech demos, and they didn't even do a good job of showing 3D. There was no app that was like, and here's the 3D. Best thing out of that was the friggin' uh uh like settings when you were like it would like show it to you, it'd be like that was the best thing they had. Cause everything else, I mean the AR cards weren't awful, but also they never had anything else. So it was like, oh, you see it, and you're like, okay, that's it. Okay, now what? You know, it was like, oh, now what? You know, it was good for everything else though, showing the camera, showing the in-depth, showing like 3D graphics, not like 3D this way, but the actual graphics were 3D. You know, it was good for showing that. I don't know, but yeah, but it was like, but everybody else so unlike Sony, where Sony was like, no, it's dead, and there were lots of people who were like, no, but it could be okay, no, but we could still make games, no, but there could be still games, no, it's like Sony was, no, it's dead, accept it and move on. Everybody said that to Nintendo. They're all like, but Nintendo, it's dead. And they're like, no, we can bleed out. Because for the last, like, what was it, 3 E3s? Maybe even 4. I don't remember exactly. They would, like, still have things for the 3DS, and we'd all be like, why? Who cares? Is anybody actually gonna buy this thing? This game? It's like, oh, God. And Nintendo was like, no, it's not dead yet. There's still things to come out. Things like the Luigi's Mansion it was a Luigi's Mansion remake. There was a Luigi's Mansion 3, was it? Or Luigi's Mansion Dark of Moon, or whatever that thing was called. Dark Moon something Dark Moon something. Anyway. And then there was like a remake of the first one on 3DS, and then things like that where it was like, Nintendo, it's dead, accept it, move on. And they're like, no, because that's like that. Lots of random like RPGs and like whatever. I don't know. It was like, die. It's dead. It's done. It's over. Stop. But they're like, no. I'm like, oh, stop it. Anyway. Okay. I think the problem with the 3DS was it had too many games that were just really like half-assed versions of Wii U games. Right. You know, like it had like the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. It had Smash Bros. It had what else did it have? Oh my gosh, some Mario games. I think it had like a treasure. Did it have Toad Treasure Tracker? No, maybe not. It had like too many games that came out that were just bad versions of other, or not bad, but like half-assed versions of other games. Like, oh, this is like a not so great version of like a Wii U game. Anyway, so it came out in 2011, and I remember I didn't get it when it first came out. I think I got it a year later, or like I got it 6 months later. I don't remember. No, I got it at least a year later, because I got it for my birthday in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And so, 2012, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I do not remember. But, I got it. Yeah, and I remember just being really impressed with it. But like everybody, for the first like 5 minutes, everything was so cool for the. Maybe like the first like day, I was fully like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. And then about a week was like, this is still like pretty. Or like for the first day, it was like just really impressive. This is cool. And then like by the end of the first week, I was like, okay, it's getting a little bit, whatever. But I remember loving it for the first like year. It was great. Like, I remember the first game I ever got on it was Star Fox 64, the remake. And oh man, did I play that game all the time that I beat it twice. Played it so much, it was great. And now it's relegated to a shelf in my room, and I don't care for it. I'm like, not that it's a bad game. It's just, I don't know. It's not great. It did so many cool things though. The 3DS. So it started off with the first system, which was the 3DS, just a 3DS, plain 3DS. The other problem was with the 3D was you're holding your 3DS, right? You're holding your 3DS, right? And you moved it even the slightest like micrometer, and it would be out of like sync and a kilter, like off kilter, and you couldn't see the 3D anymore. It was all stupid, which they apparently fixed with the like other systems, like the newer systems. So they had the first system, which they had like a aquamarine or like a teal color. Let me look this up. Let me look this up. Let me look this up. It had like a teal color. It had. It had a teal color. It had a blue teal color, aquamarine color. It had a black color, which I had. I remember having the black color. I had the black color. And sorry about that. This thing gets hot and it overheats and turns off. So I might overheat again in the next like couple of minutes. But because I have the case on it, and apparently that case, I figured out that, or I figure maybe this case is making it way too hot, so like it's getting even hotter now. But anyway, so I had the black one, and then, so there was an aqua blue one, then there was a black, and those were the only ones that were out for a while, and then maybe like 6 months later, they had like a Zelda edition, which my brother had, which came with Ocarina of Time 3D, which my brother has, which is really actually a decent. It's just a black one with a bit of like things around the edges, like a border around the edges. So it's not the greatest thing, but it's cool. It's cool, but it's not the greatest thing. It's not like the 3DS, or 3DS. It's not like the Zelda DS, which was just a gold DS. Now that was a little bit of a cop-out, because it's just a gold DS. Like, it's a little bit of like, oh, come on. But I liked the idea of a gold DS better than, like, whatever. And then, was it like a year later, I think? Or like a year and a half later? Anyway, they came out with like a red, like a fiery crimson red version, which my friend had, and I looked at it and went, I just wanted a 3DS, so I just pulled, because I went to EB Games, and I picked up a 3DS, and I was just like, and they were like, all we have is the black 3DS, and my mom was like, are you okay with that? And I was like, oh, I just want a 3, like, I had this in my mind, I was like, I just want a 3DS, I don't care. So I was like, don't give a damn, just give me 3DS, so, anyway. Yeah, so, okay, but, I kind of regret that, but I'm like, I'm fine with it. Because I didn't really care too much. In the long run, when I look back at it, I'm like, Like, when I look back at, like, me playing with it, I didn't really care that much what color I got. The other ones were better, but I was like, it is what it is. I don't really have a problem with lots of, like, system colors like that, so. Like, my DS, I had a red DS. My brother had a blue DS. The first DS. I got a second DS because my DS broke. Which was kind of really stupid when you think about it, because I could have waited and got a DS. Also, the other thing I remember is paying like $30 to get it, get the L and R button fixed, because it was after, I think Nintendo at one point, if I'm not mistaken, Nintendo at one point offered a, like, repair service for free for, the 3DS, or for the DS to fix these things. You could send them in and they would do it for free, and then they just stopped doing that, right? But people saw that there was still a need for it, so, like, all these repair shops still had, like, services to do it. Some were free, some you had to pay for, some were cheap, some were not. I remember paying $30 to send it off. Because I went through my, like, local, well, not local, but, like, I went through a nearby game store, but not like a GameStop, EB Games, a, like, actual game store, right? Independent local game store. And I paid, like, about $30. He sent it off. He got the L&R button fixed, and I remember immediately clicking the button, or doing something to find. I think I had dropped it, though, so maybe I had caused it to be bad. I could have caused it to be bad myself. Because the Eleanor buttons on those things are crap. They were just bad. They were just horrible. Like, just super bad on the DS. Anyway. But yeah, that's just a story about the DS. And I remember, and I clicked, I'm like, I remember thinking in my head, no frickin' way. They don't work. Now, it could have been that I dropped it. I remember it could have been I dropped it. But they were just bad to begin with. Especially on the white DSs. The white DSs somehow just had... Those were bad. Those were just bad DSs all around. They were just bad. But the DS itself was just a bad setup. Because it was like, you got the Game Boy... Because I had a Game Boy Advance SP before that. And the Game Boy Advance SP was like a freaking tank. It was a legit tank. It was crazy. I've dropped that thing so many times. It's ridiculous. Then the DS was this weak piece of garbage in quality-wise. Like, it was just like completely opposite of the Game Boy Advance SP that I had. And then the 3DS came out in like the more of like a middle ground where I still heard people do that. But it wasn't as bad. It was like a fraction of the people had problems with things like the Eleanor button. But yeah, so back to the 3DS. So the 3DS came out the first system, so that was that. And it was the first system, and it was good for what it was. And then they came out with a XL version, a 3DS XL, which my friend had. My friend had an XL. And it was decent. It was decent. I thought it was a little cheaper looking and cheaper feeling, but it wasn't bad. And then they came out with the 2DS, where a lot of people were like, that's what it should have been. Or maybe it shouldn't have necessarily been that, but they should have had options to be like, here's the 3DS. And then once they realized people didn't like it or thought it was awful, the 3D, they should have offered options. Okay, and here's basically just a DS again, like a new DS, like, you know what I'm saying, like just no 3D. We should have had like a bare bones version, which with like no 3D should have offered something like that. If they once they realized that nobody cared for it and nobody utilized it, should have said like, hey, forget it. Well, there's an option to buy one without 3D, but they didn't. But they did come up with a 2DS. Which, it looks weird because it's like a cake slice looking thing. It doesn't fold over. My friend has one, and I remember holding it, playing it, and being like, this is not that bad. This is really not that bad. Then they came out with the new 3DS, which is stupid. New 3DS and new 3DS XL. Which all it added there was, apparently, the new 3DS XL fixed the, like, motion, the 3D tracking problem. Where if you turned it, even like a bajillionth of a like micrometer, it would be out of sync, like off kilter. But it apparently fixed it. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, obviously, if you want like freaking this, you couldn't see it anymore. But you know what I mean, like. But again, nobody cared, so it had a better processor in it, and it gave us like a second analog stick. Where the second analog stick, okay, it helped in certain things, but I don't think it was 100% necessary. Anyway. And then they came out with the 2DS XL. 2DS and 2DS XL. New 2DS and new 2DS XL. Or was it only the new 2DS XL? I don't remember. Anyway. Sorry. Something. Yeah. So, and that's what the 3DS should have been. The 3DS should have been the new 2DS XL. Or at least they should have made that version, like, way, and I mean, like, way before anything else. So like, way at the beginning, they should have been like, okay, once they realized people didn't like 3D, it should have came out with basically what the new 2DS XL was, which is just the 3DS without a 3D. Like, it was clamshell, like, 3DS, it was better, good, it was whatever. Like, it was just a 3DS, new 3DS with no 3D. That's it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, is that all you can buy now in stores? I know that Walmart still have like 2DSs, like the regular 2DSs with Mario. Is it the Zelda one or the Mario Maker? Mario Kart? Mario Kart. maybe, I don't know, 7? Maybe. Anyway. Yeah, so, I like the 3DS. I like it a lot. I think it's great. But, also I look at it and go, but there was not much on it. I'm sorry. That I cared about, or that anybody I knew cared about. Honestly, I got it for Pokemon. Well, I got it because it was new, originally. But I only kept it for, like, Pokemon. Because the new Pokemon games are all being on 3DS. Which they weren't at first. Um, um, Black and White and Black and White 2 were not on 3DS. And I was, like, baffled. I was like, why are you still putting things on the DS? What the heck, man? I was really just confused. But it was the whole adoption thing where, like, they didn't want to force people on. They weren't pulling apples, forcing people onto the new platform. Or forcing them to use this new feature, Apple just, either gets rid of something or adds something that has never been done on something before. And it's just like, and everybody has to just follow. Like getting rid of the headphone jack, and they're like, but now we have to follow this. Like, dang. We just have to follow now. We have to do that too now. Whatever. So, like, they didn't pull an Apple. They weren't pulling an Apple, so that's kind of why. Because they were, like, doing more of, like, we'll just let you, like, for all those people. And that's the thing. For handhelds, they don't really do the thing where they have, like, multiple, like, one on this system and the old system and one on the newer system. No. Especially not for Pokemon. Pokemon, no. No, not at all. No. So I guess that's why. Anyway, I got it for Pokemon, and then I got Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64, and Link Between Worlds. And I never beat Link Between Worlds. I'm sorry, I never did. My brother did, but I never did. I like that game a lot. I just never beat it. I beat Ocarina of Time though. That was good. My brother says, "Oh, you didn't really beat it." I'm like, "What do you mean you didn't really beat it?" "Well, you played the easy version," and I'm like, "The easy version, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, because freaking." And they added they didn't really make too many things easier, but they did things like they made the iron boots an equipable item instead of because in the original game, if you don't know, the original Ocarina of Time, in the water temple, you have to equip the iron boots to sink down to the bottom of the thing because it's all full of water. In the water temple, adult water temple. And in the original game, you had to click start, slide over to the menu, equip the iron boots, and then you'd sink. And then you have to do it again to take them off. Well, in the new 3DS game, they added the ability to put it on, to put it into a slot. So you didn't have to, mess around with it. You could just on, off. I'm like, that makes the whole game, the Wuss's version? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know about that. But anyway. What was I saying? Yeah, so. They did a few other things, though, in that game. But, like the Master Quest, I remember my brother, he beat the game, and then he started the Master Quest, and I was like, so, is it really hard? And he goes, no, it's not hard. It's just stupid. It's just really stupid. It's just things you will never, ever, ever, ever think about. Ever. Ever. You will never have thought about that yourself. Ever. And I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. So it's not even hard. It's just stupid. So I'm like, wow, really? And he's like, yeah, wow. Anyway, and what else do we have? Because I'm thinking, did I have a lot of 3DS games? No, I didn't. Oh, I got that Smash Bros. On 3DS. Remember that? And that was actually not a bad game. It's not a great version of Smash Bros. Because it's weird. Because every time you play it, you're like, I just want a real controller, please. Just give me some kind of real controller. Because playing it with that weird, analog, slidey C-stick thing is, no. Whatever that, it's like, ooh, don't like it. The first time my brother played it, I handed it to my brother, and he goes, ooh, I don't know about the weird sliding analog stick thing. Right? And then I handed it to him again, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year, I don't even remember, but later, just significantly late, like into the future, and he was just like, and I'm like, oh, but you don't think this is bad? And he's like, eh, it's not horrible. It's actually not that horrible. And I was like, yeah, but you just want to be playing with a controller. And he's like, no, I can play like this. And he goes, and I go, what? How? 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 I was just baffled. I'm like, you don't think this is awful? He's like, it's not the worst thing ever. I think he agreed with me that it's not great, but it's playable. I'm like, borderline, but hey. So, and then I had, what else did I have? My brother had every Pokemon game on 3DS. No, I don't know if he had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I don't think he did. But he had every other one. And then, what else did we own? I had like a stupid sports game that I bought at my library because I was getting rid of like games and stuff. It was like a dual pen sports game. Oh my god, it was bad. But what else did I have? Oh, my brother had Majora's Mask on 3DS. Well, I mean, they had to make that because if they made Ocarina of Time, they had to make Majora's Mask. Well, they didn't have to, but like people would have been like, "Well, how come you have one and not the other?" Like what? Anyway. What else? I didn't have a lot of games on the 3DS. I didn't play a lot of games on the 3DS. I didn't play the good stuff either. I played. My brother borrowed from his best friend for like the longest time. What was the game? It was 3D Land, Mario 3D Land, no Mario Land 3D, Mario 3D Land. Oh my god, it's one of my favorite Mario games. Top 3 Mario games in this order. Number one favorite Mario game, Super Mario World. Number 2, Mario Land 2 with 6 golden coins. Number 3, Mario Land 3D. Mario 3D Land. It's such a good game. Like, so good. I don't know, something about it where it just did a really good job of... I also think that I liked it at the time because it was really, really easy. Like, it had the mechanic. I look back now and I'm like, that's a stupid mechanic. That's dumb. Because it makes the game too easy. But it was the thing where if you stop... now thinking about it, it's actually really bad. But it was, if you died enough times, your character... If you died enough times, there'd be in the beginning of the level, or wherever you died, if you even got to the checkpoint, there'll be a box that comes up and lets you get like an item. Now that's okay. We'll help you out a little bit. We'll give you an item, whatever. No, it's when you die enough that they basically give you invincibility. They give you a gold or a white Tanuki suit, which is and you're invincible. You're invincible. And I liked that as a kid, obviously because I was terrible at it, and I pretty much beat the game that way. But with the first time, like I played it, I look back now and it's bad, like a bad gimmick. But at the time, I was like, "This is, oh wow, real, oh man, this is great. I can beat the game." Because I wasn't ashamed. I remember as a kid, I was never ashamed of like, no, I will beat just myself. I will not use the items. I will, or not use the easy versions of stuff. No, I was a kid. No, give me it all. Give me everything that makes it easier. Cheats. I don't care. Just give me everything. So that was, so not that that's the worst thing, but like I look back now and I'm like, I really didn't beat or play games to the fullest potential, to their fullest, right? Or you didn't get as much satisfaction of winning things, or beating things. So not the worst, but yeah. Anyway, so there's that. I played that. I never had that. And then my library had some games. I'm trying to remember if I played how many like DS games I played. Or sorry, 3DS games I played over DS games. I don't think I played. I think it was like 95% DS games. But that's the thing. The 3DS could play DS games. That was the beauty of it. You could play DS games. So even if you hated the 3DS, right? All the 3DS is crap or whatever, or whatever. Like, you can still play DS games if you happen to get one for some reason and you didn't like it or didn't want it, right? You can still play DS games. So if you like the DS, you could still play DS games. So, and I had probably about a dozen, maybe even 2 dozen like DS games, and like not even half that for 3DS games. At least that's what I remember. So, yeah. So, yeah, I remember that I borrowed. I know I borrowed like after long after I borrowed things like Scribble Knots on the 3DS. I borrowed from the library. I borrowed Maryland. It's or 3D Land on from my library again, and that's when I did I actually beat it a second time. No, I played through. I almost got. I almost beat it, but without a lot, without most of the white Tanuki suit. So yeah. So um yeah. So the 3DS was a great system. It wasn't the best system. It was not the best system, but it was good. I liked my DS better because there were just more games to play on the DS. That was the other thing. I mean, I didn't look for a lot of these the 3DS games, but there was not a lot of games that I wanted to play on the 3DS. Like, I'm sorry, if I open my 3DS right now and I go to the eShop, I would just be like, what is this crap? Not that it's awful. None of it's bad. It's just, what is this stuff? Why? I don't care for any of this. I don't care for JRPGs. I don't care for random ass, like, whatever things. Oh! I just thought I remembered something. The, there was something on the 3DS that was amazing. That I thought was phenomenal. So it was called Nintendo Video. And Nintendo Video was basically, it was an app that came up, gave you 4 videos, and they would switch. They wouldn't all switch at once. They would like just like switch one of them out, put another new video in. And I remember finding some of the best. I still remember the first thing I ever saw on that thing. It was a music video for It might not have been the first thing, but it was like the first thing I can remember. It was the music video for Gangs of Rhythm by Fall Off the Earth. Oh no, Walk Off the Earth. Walk Off the Earth. Or Fall Off? No, Walk Off the Earth. No. Yeah, Walk Off the Earth. Is that right? Yeah, the guys who made the somebody used to know. Yeah, and no, not that one. What's it called? Anyway, but yeah, I remember that. Cause I was just like I remember playing it and just being like mesmerized by the music video. It was like, yeah, I'm just like remembering back. Just the top, like I can even remember like the feeling I had when I first played it. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is whoa. And then I found everything from oh, what was that thing called? It was like dinosaurs in the office dinosaur. Oh, it was the best. But there was like that. There was Shaun the Sheep animations. There was Bravest Warrior. There was Cartoon Conspiracy. There was what else was there? Batman, Spider-Man. What else? Some music videos. There was other music videos that I didn't care for. I remember the rest of the other videos. I was like, don't care for this very much. But man, was that a crazy thing. I just liked. Also, I think I liked the randomness of how like they would just throw you like a random ass video that I'd be like, oh, what is the random video going to be today? Like I like that. That was a great idea. And I found out later that they were all just YouTube videos, really. But oh, it was good. And then they had something called. Oh, I'm just bringing back. That was so. Oh, that was so good. Oh. But they had something called. Oh, I can't. Oh, so good. Anyway, oh, so good. But they had something called Badge Arcade, which was a decent idea, but I was never gonna pay for. It was basically a crane game that you could pick up these like badge pin things that you could put on your home screen, and I never paid a single cent in that game. Never a single cent. But they would give you like 5 grabs a day. I think it was 5 grabs a day. But there were certain like claw machines that you could get more grabs. And so I remember going into certain claw machines, getting like 3 grabs or 4 grabs, and then going into other claw machines and like picking up stuff. So I have a whole set of, or one set. I don't know if it's a full set, but it's a Mario, like 8-bit Mario stuff with Bowser and stuff. was cool. That was just cool. That was cool. So it had interesting things. It's just I didn't care for a lot of the games on it. I'm sorry, I didn't. I really didn't for the 3DS. And it had YouTube and Netflix and stuff like that, but I remember watching things on the 3DS and just being like, oh, why? This is not very good. Like on YouTube on the 3DS, I was like, oh, this is not good though, is it? No, it's not good. But anyway. So yeah, I think that'll be it for now, guys. So again, if you want to get in contact with me, there's the email, tacoimposters@gmail.com. The Discord and the Patreon. Please, if you get your bit on Patreon, you will see the quality of this go up. But hey, quality of this whole thing, my whole YouTube channel go up. But anyway, yeah. Tell me what to do with the 360 camera. Tell me what to do with what stuff I can watch, like what Halloween stuff to watch, what Halloween games to play, what topics to talk about on the podcast. Hey, if you want to be on the podcast, shoot me an email, send me an email, and we can set some stuff up. Anyway, what to do with the channel in general, please. Suggestions, very open to suggestions. Please, give me them. Yeah, so I think that'll be for now, guys. So, adios, mi amigos.